Hello everyone, David here, the Real-Time Show's resident provocateur, back at you with what might be actually my last article of 2023. And looking back, it's been wild. It's been almost 1 year since Robin Allen asked me to join the show, and it's been a tremendously fun time for me getting to share my thoughts with you and hearing your feedback. Now, this last article is something different. Not so much in the content, because it's a predictions episode. Nothing too out there about that. You've probably read and will read many of these articles on your favorite watch blogs. But here at the Real-Time Show, we want to take things a little bit further. And so this predictions episode has a twist. Have I got your attention yet? Good. Let's just jump right into it. Even if you haven't been following the drama happening in the ChatGPT boardroom, you still know about ChatGPT, the AI that seems to have risen to the top of the name recognition pile in these early-ish days of the technology. I know some have expressed skepticism over how much this new tech will really change things, while others have called for a total ban on it due to its destructive potential. But I, for one, am just really fascinated by it at the moment. One of the more intriguing features ChatGPT is rolling out is GPTs, that's GPT plural, along with an associated store where people can create their own chatbots, essentially AI apps trained to do one thing in particular. I thought it'd be interesting to create a GPT that enables watch sellers to create better sales listings, of course with the goal of maximizing their sales revenues. And one of the factors I baked in was timing. In other words, if you have the option of waiting, you can wonder, is now the best time to sell based on industry or macro-specific factors? Since we're at the end of the year, trend predictions for the upcoming one are always popular, so I thought, why not give the GPT a shot? So, without further delay, here are its thoughts. Some you might expect, some others, not so much. So let's get right into it. For 2024, the chatbot gave 10 general predictions for the luxury watch industry. And here they are, in no particular order, just the order the chatbot gave. Number 1, stabilizing luxury market. The luxury watch market, especially in the high-end segment, is likely to stabilize in 2024. Brands like Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet may see a steadying of prices following the fluctuations observed in recent years. Number 2, growth in emerging markets. Markets such as India and other parts of Asia could experience significant growth. Brands are likely to focus more on these regions, considering their growing economies and increasing consumer interest in luxury watches. Number 3, sustainability and ethical sourcing. A continued emphasis on sustainability and ethical sourcing of materials is expected. Consumers are increasingly aware of environmental issues, and the luxury market is responding with more sustainable production practices and materials. Number 4, smartwatch integration. The integration of smart technologies and traditional watchmaking might gain further momentum. This could involve more collaborations between tech companies and established watch brands. Number 5, independent brands rise. Independent and smaller watch brands might gain a larger market share due to their unique designs and limited production runs, appealing to collectors and enthusiasts seeking exclusivity. Number 6, digital and omni-channel sales. The use of digital platforms for sales and marketing will continue to grow. Brands may further develop their online presence and direct-to-consumer channels while still maintaining a strong physical retail presence. Number 7, vintage and pre-owned market. The market for vintage and pre-owned watches is expected to remain robust. Collectors and enthusiasts show a sustained interest in rare and historical pieces, which could drive up prices for certain models. Number 8, customization and personalization. An increase in customization and personalization options might be observed, as consumers seek unique pieces that stand out. Number 9, Swiss watch exports. Swiss watch exports are likely to continue their growth trajectory, though this might be at a more moderate pace compared to the high growth rates seen in the past few years. And finally, number 10, impact of global economic trends. The overall economic climate, including factors like inflation, currency fluctuations, and geopolitical events, will inevitably impact the luxury watch market. Brands might adjust strategies accordingly to navigate these challenges. Overall, I wouldn't say these are that bad. They're a little generic, absolutely, but overall, they're on the mark, and for a first pass, it's pretty good. But I wanted to make things a little more interesting and push the chatbot even further. So I asked it some very pointed questions on continuations of narratives that started in 2023 and frankly even before that. When we talk about ongoing narratives in the watch industry, the recent Swatch Group collaborations absolutely have to come to mind. And so I directly asked it, keeping in mind the Swatch collaborations with Omega and then Blancpain more recently, do you have any predictions for what Swatch Group brand might be next, perhaps in 2024? And here is the exact answer that the chatbot gave me. When considering future collaborations within the Swatch Group, it's important to look at the patterns and successes of their past collaborations. The Omega and Swatch Moonswatch and the Blancpain and Swatch Scuba 50 Fathoms were both significant and well received. These collaborations took iconic models from prestigious brands and reinterpreted them in a more accessible form through Swatch's expertise in mass market watch production. I'm cutting in here with some commentary. We know this, but still pretty good for a chatbot that hasn't really learned about the watch industry other than recently with the materials I trained it with. So, continuing on, the chatbot then says, given this strategy, it's plausible to predict the Swatch Group might select another one of its prestigious brands for a similar collaboration. Key considerations would include, and I'm cutting out some of the explanations here, but it gives 3 bullet points: brand prestige and iconic models, market trends and consumer demand, and strategic brand positioning. Now, this is where it gets interesting because the chatbot goes on to say, given these factors, some potential candidates for a 2024 collaboration could be Breguet, known for its historically significant and technically sophisticated timepieces. A collaboration could focus on making an exclusive Breguet design more accessible. Glasuto Original, with its strong heritage in German watchmaking, a collaboration might involve a reinterpretation of one of its classic designs. Jacques Dro, known for its artistic and elaborate designs, a collaboration could bring a unique aesthetic to a wider audience. And finally, Longines. Given its history and extensive catalog, there could be potential for a unique collaboration, possibly focusing on heritage and elegance. The chatbot then ends with a disclaimer stating, however, these predictions should be taken with caution as the Swatch Group's decisions will depend on various strategic considerations, including, again, market dynamics, brand strategies, and consumer preferences at the time. This was not enough for me, so I pushed it again and said, okay, so if you had to pick one brand and one model, which would it be? This is what the chatbot said. Predicting the exact brand and model for potential Swatch Group collaboration involves a bit of speculation, but based on the patterns of previous collaborations and the strengths of the Swatch Group's portfolio, a compelling choice might be, drum roll, Longines. And here's the reasoning. Longines, a brand with a rich history and a wide array of both dress and sports watches, has a strong heritage appeal. Its reputation for elegant designs at relatively accessible price points makes it a suitable candidate for a collaboration that aims to bring luxury design to a wider audience. And another drum roll to let you know which model it picked, and it was the Longines Legend Diver. The explanation was a little long, so I'll just cut to the final paragraph, which states, this choice aligns with current trends favoring vintage and dive watches and leverages Longines' well-established reputation in these areas. However, it's important to note that Swatch Group's strategic decisions will depend on various factors, including market trends at that time, brand positioning, and overall business strategy. So notes from me on this are that it's actually not a terrible choice, and I guess coincidentally, not too long after I ran that query, Longines actually announced the reissue of the Longines Legend Diver in a 39mm configuration. So it seems to me logical, at least, that the brand might want to expand the appeal of that watch with a much more mass market Swatch offering. So overall, I'd say pretty good and certainly just a very interesting answer from the chatbot and one I'll very much look forward to discussing with Robin Allen on the analysis show. I then went to the acquisition of Bucherer by Rolex. Obviously, this was one of the larger, if not the largest story in the watch industry for 2023, and everyone's really anxious to understand what the implications of that might be. So I asked it, any thoughts on potential repercussions of the Rolex acquisition of Bucherer? Are there any brands in particular you think might be more or less affected? Quick note for me before I jump into the answers. I asked it a second time in another set of questions, and those answers were a lot more interesting. This first pass is interesting. It is, however, a little bit on the generic side, so I will just give you the high-level points and then get to the really juicy stuff at the end of the episode. So, in terms of implications, there were actually 8 listed, and starting with number 1 is, of course, increased market presence for Rolex. So by acquiring Bucher, one of the world's largest watch retailers, Rolex can, of course, increase its market presence. The second implication were possible changes in retail strategy. Of course, Rolex could leverage Bucher's extensive retail network to modify its distribution strategy. Number 3, a shift in luxury watch retail dynamics. I think that's very clear if points 1 and 2 come to pass. Number 4 is the impact on smaller and independent brands. Now, of course, that will depend more or less on how those were already marketed through Bucher, but I think it's fair to say that this acquisition will have impacts on all the watch industry, and certainly one could expect at least some degree of impact on the smaller and independent brands. Number 5, now this is where it gets really interesting, because the chatbot lists a potential for enhanced customer experiences, and I'll read you the full bullet point here. Rolex might leverage Bucher's expertise in luxury retail to enhance customer experience. This could set a new standard in luxury watch retailing, prompting other brands to innovate in their customer engagement and retail strategies. Keep this one in mind because it gets really, really interesting later on. Number 6, so the sixth implication, or possible implication rather, listed by the chatbot for this acquisition was that Rolex's sister company, Tudor, would be impacted. I think that is fair to say, and we'll see how that plays out. Number 7, possible market consolidation. Absolutely. And finally, number 8, the implications for online and omni-channel retail. Of course, if Rolex has acquired Bucher, it can then utilize all of the sales channels that Bucher has, and of course, change its own based on the model that Bucher has as well. So I think this is fair. We will see how that plays out in the next couple of years. Now, moving on to the really interesting stuff. When talking predictions, everyone always wants to know, okay, predictions for Rolex, what are they? So I asked the chatbot, do you have any dark horse predictions? That is to say, those that are unlikely but still possible, preferably featuring Rolex. Up front, I will say, the answers listed were certainly creative, but they show the limitations of the chatbot's training because the chatbot does not realize just how conservative Rolex is. So it followed the prompt, but did not necessarily ground that in the context of reality. So I will just read the high-level bullet points, the dark horse predictions listed by the chatbot, and they are: Rolex entering the smartwatch market, collaborations with high-profile tech brands, retro revival of discontinued models, Rolex venturing into new materials, launch of a subscription or rental service, so presumably to rent their watches, Rolex embracing cryptocurrency, introduction of an entry-level line, Rolex's foray into experiential marketing. Again, this could be interesting in the context of the Bucher acquisition. Let's park that. Number 9, unusual brand partnerships. And number 10, Rolex as a digital asset. So think things like NFTs. My thoughts on this are that they are very interesting predictions, but other than a couple of exceptions, we're really, again, seeing the limitations of the chatbot and not understanding Rolex in its proper context. However, the chatbot did do a very good job of interpreting the assignment. So when I asked for dark horse predictions, that's exactly what it gave. I wasn't very satisfied though. I really wanted some more realistic options, and so I asked it, and this is the exact prompt I gave it. I like the creativity, but these are a little too out there. Rolex is just really, really conservative. I guess I was asking more about 2 areas specifically: the availability of Rolex watches in actual dealer displays rather than the gray market, and the moves Rolex might make in the wake of its Bucher acquisition. What do you think? Now, I realized here that I might have been cheating a little bit because I asked it again for implications of the Bucher acquisition, but the answers were just so good. I was glad that I did. And in this particular case, I will in fact read all of the outputs out. There are 10 of them. And I think that once we get to the analysis episode with Rob and Alan, these are the predictions that we're going to want to focus on. So let's just start with number 1. Increased availability authorized dealers. In a surprising shift, Rolex could decide to increase the availability of their watches at authorized dealers. This would counter the current trend where many popular models are nearly impossible to find at retail prices in stores. This change could be driven by a desire to regain control over the market and reduce dependence on the gray market. It's a move that would delight many customers who are currently frustrated by long wait lists and inflated gray market prices. Number 2, you ready for this one? Rolex launching exclusive Bucher editions. Following the acquisition of Bucher, Rolex might introduce exclusive Bucher editions of their most popular models. These editions could feature unique design elements or special engravings, available only through Bucher boutiques. This would create a new level of exclusivity and draw customers directly to Bucher stores. Number 3. Rolex introducing a direct-to-consumer model through Bucher. Rolex could leverage Bucher's retail network to pilot a direct-to-consumer sales model. This would be a significant departure from the traditional sales approach and could offer a more controlled distribution, allowing Rolex to manage supply and demand more effectively. Number 4. Bespoke Rolex services through Bucher. Rolex might introduce bespoke or customization services exclusively through Bucher. This could range from personalized engravings to selecting unique dial colors or bracelet options. While Rolex has historically been resistant to customization, offering it through a controlled channel like Bucher might be a way to test the waters. Number 5. Rolex expanding their product line exclusively in Bucher stores. Rolex could expand their product line with new models or variations, exclusively available at Bucher stores. This would drive traffic to Bucher and create a unique shopping experience for Rolex enthusiasts. Number 6. Special after-sales services or loyalty programs. With the acquisition, Rolex might offer special after-sales services or loyalty programs through Bucher, like extended warranties, first access to new models, or invitation-only events. This would enhance the value proposition of purchasing from an authorized dealer. Number 7. Bucher is a platform for vintage and pre-owned Rolex watches. Rolex could use Bucher to officially enter the pre-owned market, offering certified pre-owned Rolex watches. This would be a way to control the quality of pricing of pre-owned Rolex watches and capture a segment of the market that is currently dominated by third-party dealers. Number 8. This is a note from me. Hugely interesting. ChatBot says, interactive Rolex exhibits or museums within Bucher stores. Rolex could establish interactive exhibits or mini museums within select Bucher stores, showcasing the brand's history and craftsmanship. This would not only be a draw for customers, but also serve as an educational and brand building tool. Number 9. Limited production runs for collector's editions. In a rare move, Rolex could release limited production runs of certain models specifically for Bucher, catering to collectors and connoisseurs looking for something unique. Finally, number 10. Exclusive online access to Rolex inventory through Bucher. Note from me, this would be huge. And the chatbot states, Rolex might provide exclusive online access to their inventory through Bucher's digital platforms. Customers could view available models at Bucher boutiques and reserve them online, blending the convenience of digital browsing with the assurance of purchasing from an authorized dealer. I don't think there's much to say here other than, wow. I mean, certainly one has to really question the assumptions that are underpinning some of these predictions, but these are really interesting. And even if a small percentage of these predictions actually happen, I think you would see those developments make the front page of every watch blog out there. And from a broader technology point of view, if it's making these types of predictions in 2023, what's it going to look like in 2024 and the year after and the year after? So this was a really fun exercise, both as a watch lover and a technology lover. And I keep saying this, but it is going to be a really fun analysis episode with Robin Allon, and I am very much looking forward to hearing all of the reader comments that we get on these chatbot predictions for the watch industry. And I think that's just a great place to end it. You know, we're always soliciting feedback from listeners, but this episode in particular, I think, or at least I hope, will generate a large amount of feedback. And we want to hear from you, whether that feedback is good or bad. So what did you think? Did you think these predictions were just way off base? Did you think some of it could be on the mark? Maybe all of it could be on the mark. Or what are your predictions for 2024? We want to know, and you can reach us through various types of channels. I can be reached on Instagram at DAVAUCHER. Rob can be reached at ROBNUDDS. And Alan can be reached at ALONBENJOSEPH. Of course, we always love hearing from the contact form on the Real Time Show's website, and you can find that at www.therealtime.show/contacts. And we now even have a brand new dedicated Instagram page you can reach us at. The handle for that is therealtime.show. So with that said, it has been a phenomenal almost year for me being able to chat with you about watches. I really hope that you have a great end of 2023 and an excellent beginning of 2024. And I will be looking forward to sharing more provocative watch-related thoughts with you all through the rest of next year and beyond. Thanks so much and take care.